Hey guys, this is Naveen here. Welcome back to Naveen Automation Labs and back to our design pattern series. So in the last session, we have seen that what do you mean by strategy pattern, right? Where we have to create the strategy according to the requirement, like how exactly you want to make the payment via credit card or PayPal or bank transfer payment. And then we have to maintain one payment context. And then we are giving an option to the client to the client class or to the user class that you can just pick the payment option according to your requirement. Give me the context, and this context will automatically switch how exactly you want to make the payment, right? So similar kind of thing that we can do with Selenium also. In Selenium, we have a really good use case that we can do one thing, that how to set up the WebDriver, like how to initialize the WebDriver with the help of with different strategy. For example, like n number of strategies you can add it. For example, I'm saying, why don't you add one a local execution strategy? One is the headless execution strategy, maybe the remote execution strategy if you really want to run it on the Selenium grid or something. Later on, you can create, let's say, I really want to run my test cases on Lambda test or Source Labs or Browser Stack if I really want to run. So n number of classes, strategy classes, I can create it here. And all these three classes are what? All these three classes are implementing one interface, that is test execution strategy interface is here. So let's see, I'm writing, this is my implements keyword. And all these three classes are implementing one single interface. In this interface, we have one method. Let's see, setup driver method, right? And then we have created one drive. We have to create one driver context class where all the strategies and everything will be mentioned. And then we are giving the liberty to the client that client will try to initialize the driver as per need. That I really want to run my test cases in the, let's see, local execution. I want to run it in my local machine, or I want to run it in the headless mode, or I really want to run it in the on the Selenium grid with the remote option, like remote grid, I want to use it, or I really want to use, let's say, Source Labs, something like this. Also, I can use it Source Labs or Lambda test, or maybe the browser stack also. We can use it here. So, like number of strategies we can supply, and we can switch from one strategy to another strategy also with this option. So these are the 4 or 5 level of classes and interfaces we have to create it here. So without wasting time, let's create that. So first, I'm going to create one interface in this particular package. So let's create one interface name that I'm giving. Let's see, for example, that whatever it is, let's see, test execution strategy. You can say that whatever the name, I'm just giving some useful name. Let's see, set test execution strategy. Like I want to really execute my test cases. So what is your strategy? So let's see, this is my test execution strategy interface that I have created. In this particular interface, I'm just going to have one method, and the method name is, let's see, setup driver method, right? Interface method does not have any method body, so let it be like this. And then if you really want to supply the parameter, that set up the parameter, or sorry, set up the driver on the basis of the browser name, you have to supply that. And this method will return what? This method will return the WebDriver here. Okay. So I'm just importing the WebDriver also here. So this is the method prototype that we have defined like this. Now I'm going to define the strategy classes. So let's see, the first strategy class will be what? I really want to do the local execution. See this, see name, you can give anything, whatever you want to give of the class name, local execution strategy. Local execution strategy says that we are going to what? Implement this particular test execution interface, this particular interface over here, test execution strategy interface. So obviously, if you're implementing it, you have to implement setup driver according to your requirement. So let's see that. So I'm saying add unimplemented method over here. So this is, let's see, the method that we have to import here, and then we can provide our business logic according to our requirement, right? So whatever the browser name, that is what you're passing. Here I'm writing a quick switch case statement, or if else also if you really want to write browser name, that I'm converting into the lowercase and then putting a trim here. And then number of cases, let's see, if the case is Chrome, then do what? If the case is Chrome, then simple, I just want to do what? I just want to launch my browser, like new Chrome driver or something like this. That is what we can simple do it over here. So here I'm saying that simple return what? return new Chrome driver. That is what we are going to use it here, and then import that as well here, right? Now, after that, what we can do, we can create number of cases here. So first case, let's see, I just want to maintain Chrome, Firefox, and one Edge browser. And if you really want to maintain other browsers also, you can just simply use it here. So let's simply use this one quickly. And then instead of Chrome, here I'm writing, let's see, this is my Firefox driver. We are not developing the framework, guys. Later on, you can just add other utilities and everything separately. So let's say this is a switch case, one that we have used. And if you come inside the default case, then I simply say that system.out.println that please pass the right browser. And if you really want to throw your own exception, you can throw it. Let's see, simple, I'm passing illegal access or illegal state exception. That is what also we can use it over here. That is coming from Selenium. Illegal state exception also coming from java.lang. That also we can just use it. Okay. So, and whatever the message that wrong browser, something like this. Okay. Perfect. So let me remove this break from here and simple this one. And then let me just remove this illegal state exception and remove this return from here right now. So what are we doing here is that return and break cannot be together. So let me just remove it. So simple business logic that you can write it here and then immediately you return. And once everything is done, simple, whatever the specific browser that you are passing, return the specific driver from here. Okay, so I'm not writing any other thing. That's more than enough for this class. Now I'm saying that we have to execute with the headless mode. So I'm going to create with the headless strategy also. So for, although you can mix headless strategy with this also, but still, let's say I really want to segregate. I really want to follow the SRP principle, like single responsibility principle. So here I'm writing headless execution strategy as well. And then headless execution strategy is doing what? This is also implementing this one, this particular interface. So I'm writing this one. And then obviously you have to implement that method as well. So add unimplemented method. And then if you really want to exactly same thing that I'm writing over here. So same switch case I'm writing. And let me just paste it here. But in case of headless, because this is purely based on the headless. So here I'm doing what? Here I'm creating the object of Chrome options. So let's see, Chrome options, CO is equal to what? New Chrome options. That is what I'm writing. And then what? CO dot, I think, set headless also we can use it. Set headless is actually deprecated. So we can just simply add this particular argument. Argument is hyphen hyphen headless. We can use it over here. And then the same CO, that is what we have to supply it over here, right? Same thing you can do with the Firefox and Edge driver also. That I'm not writing it. So we are just launching Google Chrome. That is more than enough. So this is for the headless execution strategy. Then after that, I'm going to create, let's see, remote execution on Selenium grid. So here I'm saying that another class that I'm creating, and then this is my remote execution strategy, right? And then this remote execution strategy is also implementing this one, where we have to use what? Where we have to use the Selenium grid server. Although Selenium grid server is not running in my system right now, but simple, I'm just going to create this method with this class. So let's add an unimplemented method and do what? We have to write the same switch case over here as well. I'll just simple copy paste, but here instead of new Chrome driver, what we have to do? Instead of new Chrome driver, first of all, let me remove the headless from here. Let me remove this Chrome options from here. And then instead of new Chrome driver, which class is responsible? Pause this video and then put a comment. Which class is responsible to execute the test cases on the remote machine on the Selenium grid? So answer is remote WebDriver. So I'm just using remote WebDriver, which is also doing what? Implementing the WebDriver interface internally. So here I'm going to use this particular method. That is what you have to supply this new URL, and the new URL I'm supplying, which is HTTP, and let's see, some local host If you know that how to use the Selenium grid 4444 and then WD hub, later on you can supply in your framework from the properties file also. That also you can do it. And then java.net.url, and the capabilities we have to supply what? Yes, we need Chrome options as well. Desired capability is actually deprecated in Selenium 4. So I'm using Chrome options, and let's see, I'm adding co dot what? Co dot, let's see, set browser name if you want to use it, or you can just simple add the capabilities, that also you can just simple use it here. So here I'm writing, let's see, um, add argument or set capability method, we can use it here, this one. And the capability name is, let's see, what is the browser name? And then I think the browser name is Chrome here, or browser version if you really want to add anything, right, with the capabilities. And the same CO, that is what you have to supply over here. Okay. Same thing, you can do it for the Firefox and Edge driver also. Safari is not supported on Selenium, sorry, and on Docker Grid directly, but you can use Safari also later. Anyway, so we just need to add throws declaration or surround with the try catch block in case of any URL problem or something like this. So this is like typical Selenium WebDriver code that we are writing, sorry, Selenium grid code that we are writing with the remote WebDriver. Okay, although this local host 4444 is not running in my system right now, but this is just for your knowledge point of view, that for the remote execution strategy, setup driver method, we can define it here like this. So I think 3 strategies are more than enough to define that. Now we have to create this particular driver context, something like this particular class, which is helping me to define the context for all the strategies. So here I'm going to create, let's say this is my driver context. Context is very, very important. Here we have to define and configure all the strategies here. So let's see driver context. And in this particular driver context, what should I do? First of all, that we have to maintain, see this one private, and whatever your interface name is there. This test execution strategy interface reference variable, we have to use it. So here I'm using, let's see, this is my, I'll just write the same name. And then we have to use the top casting option also here. So this is my variable name, test execution strategy. And then I'm going to create one public constructor also, because the client will try to create the object of driver context. So here I'm creating the object of driver context. And then here I'm giving what? This test execution strategy, a reference variable. Again, I'm passing it. So this one, and then this local variable, I want to give it to this class variable. Or so I'm going to use this dot, this one is equal to test execution strategy with the help of this keyword. And then we have to create one setter also. If you remember in the last session, we have already covered to switch the strategy if you really want to switch. So we have to give one setter as well. So let's see public void set strategy, or I'm saying, yeah, let's write set strategy method. This set strategy method is also saying that you give me the execution strategy. So this is also, I'm using it over here. And same thing, this dot execution strategy is equal to this. Okay, so this is for the first time when we create the object. Later on, first time when we create the object with the strategy. Later on, if you really want to change the strategy, we can just use a setter also to update the strategy, right? And now we have to create one more public method, that public void what? See this method, get driver method. We have to use it. And this get driver method is returning what? This get driver method is saying that you call this test execution dot what? See this method, setup driver method, we have to use it. And whatever the browser name, so you have to supply the browser name also here. So here I'm saying this is my browser name here as well. And then semicolon here. So instead of void, what should I write? Instead of void, we have to write a WebDriver here and then import the WebDriver here. Got it, right? So setup driver method is defined here at the interface level, which is having a return type of WebDriver. So this is what we are doing, that when we call this method, that time we will supply this particular browser name, and this browser name will start calling setup driver, right? And then whatever the strategy that we are passing, let's say local execution, and then the same browser name will be passed over here, and then the respective setup driver method will be called with the top casting. Okay, let me run it. Let me show you how to call this. Then you will understand the final part. So I'm going to create this class. The final class name is this client class, where we have to write the main method, or if you have any test ng method or something like this, we have to test this particular feature. So here I'm writing, let's see, this is my test driver, something like this. That is what I'm going to have it, main method, and click on finish. So now what should I do? Let's say I really want to run it in my local machine, my Windows or Mac machine. So I do one thing, that simple, what? I need to create the driver context class object. So let's just start doing it, because this is what the driver context class, which is equal to what? New driver context. And see this, it says that you have to give me the, see this, I'm showing you again. This says that you have to give me the test execution strategy reference. I'm expecting what? See, it's saying that test execution strategy object, that is what you have to supply. So can I do one thing? Can I do the top casting here? I'm saying that, okay, fine. I really want to supply the object of local execution strategy class, because local execution strategy is implementing test execution strategy. So yes, I can do the top casting between them. The child class object can be referred by parent interface reference variable in Java. So same thing, I'm doing it over here, that, okay, fine. This is what local execution strategy method, that is what I'm going to use it over here, like constructor that I'm going to use it over here. And then after that, that's it. Right now, this driver context says that initially I'm supplying this one, and then driver context will supply to this one. So test execution strategy reference variable is pointing, where is pointing and referring to this particular object, right? And then after that, I'm giving the same reference to this particular class reference, right? And then after that, can I use this get driver method now? Of course, we can use it. So with the help of a driver context dot, see this, I'm saying get driver, and let's see the browser name, I'm supplying Chrome. This Chrome and all you can supply from the testng class or XML class later on, and get driver. So let's see the normal driver is really coming or not, and get driver method will return what? WebDriver reference variable. And then I'm using, let's see, WebDriver driver equal to this. So this is the kind of code maybe you must have seen somewhere if you're already working in Selenium projects in your company, that how to supply the strategy, the context you have to supply, and then on the basis of the context, my driver will be initialized and it will give you the driver here. And then after that, I'm writing, let's say driver.get method, and then enter the URL HTTPS www dot, let's see, google.com, right? So let's see, is it really working or not? So local execution strategy I'm passing, it means locally you open the browser and enter google.com. See, absolutely working fine. There is no issue with that at all. This is just a warning, right? Now, if I really want to change the strategy, I can change it. Or let's quickly check it over here, that instead of local execution, I say you implement the headless execution strategy. So without changing anything, you just need to supply the right strategy. And then I'm saying Chrome, let's see, it should open in the headless mode. And just to confirm that, I'm printing system.out.println driver.get title here. It should give me the title, and then the browser should open in the headless mode if our code is correct. So let's see. See, there is no browser is getting opened, and it's giving me Google here. Absolutely working fine, right? Same thing if you really want to supply with the remote execution. Right now, Selenium grid is not set up in my machine or in your AWS or in your local or any other server. If you're using it, you can just simply supply the IP address of that machine, and then you can start running your test cases on the Selenium grid on the remote machine. That also you can do it over here. Absolutely working fine, right? So let's see, after headless, if I really want to change my strategy to the normal driver. So what should I do? We have one setter available here. So I'm saying, see this method, set a strategy. Set a strategy with what? With the local execution strategy. Nice. And then after that, again, I'm storing in the, let's see, one driver over here. And then after that, I'm launching the set a strategy, and sorry, not in this. I'm just storing in the driver context. Sorry. Set a strategy, we have to use it. And set a strategy, I think, need to check that what exactly this method is returning. Set a strategy is actually returning nothing. Okay, it will just simple set the strategy. That's it. So we don't need to store it any variable. So once the strategy is set up, after that, what we have to do? After that, that's it. After that, same thing that we have to use it, the same method over here. The driver is equal to now the driver context get driver. So let's see. First, it will open in the headless mode. Then after that, again, it will open the Google Chrome. And then again, I'm saying you open a new application this time. So this time I'm saying, let's see you open youtube.com and then give me the title, right? So let's see, is it really picking or not? So first headless and then the normal local execution. So Google, then after that, see the youtube.com will open and then that's it. It's giving me whatever the title of the YouTube, it will give it to you here. So you see that the YouTube title is actually coming over here, right? So this is, see this YouTube is getting open. Okay. So this is absolutely working fine, right? Later on, you can supply the URL and the browser name and hard-coded value from the properties file or from the XML file. That's a different thing. We are not defining the framework here. We are just focusing only and only on the strategy pattern part. So this is how you have to define the strategy. Later on, as I mentioned that later on, if you have, let's see, browser stack. So browser stack executes the strategy. Then after that, Lambda test or maybe Sauce Labs or maybe other different or incognito mode or any kind of a strategy that you want to use it, everyone will start implementing what? Implementing this particular interface. Everyone has to implement this setup driver method internally, right? And then we have to make sure that local execution, the context that we have defined it over here, this driver context, we have to define it here. And then we just need to supply what? Now the client is having the full choice. Client will tell that, okay, I want to execute in the local, headless, remote grid, Sauce Labs, Lambda test, or whatever it is. Let the user decide from here. So this is how we can just simple implement. So if you really want to implement, it's a really good solution, very good design pattern. You can implement it. Code is very, I would say, robust, plus flexible, plus easy to maintain because we are following pure single responsibility pattern principle over here, where every class is responsible for a specific task only. Like local execution strategy is only and only responsible for the initializing the variable, sorry, initializing the driver locally. Same thing for headless and remote execution also. So that's why like the maintenance is very, very easy. Plus it's very, very flexible. So that's all for this video. I hope you learn it. I hope you got it. If you really like it, please subscribe to the channel. Let me know in case of any issues. Share this video with others who are looking for the design patterns. I have prepared so many videos on design patterns, first basic understanding, and then implementation with the Selenium WebDriver also. So have a look. Very, very important for interview point of view. Thank you so much, guys.